Hey, Riding Side Saddle, it's Tammy.
And Lisa.
We're back.
Girl, we are back.
We are. Had a little bit of a break.
It seemed like forever.
It did, I know. Because I haven't seen you since we last recorded.
No, and that was your birthday.
It was.
Right? April 2nd.
I know.
Was the last time we were together
almost
face
all of
to
April
face.
has gone by and I didn't see you.
And that does not happen.
No.
Since we've been doing Riding Side Saddle.
Right.
That doesn't happen. At best, maybe 2 weeks.
Right.
We're looking at 3.5
weeks? 4 weeks? Yeah.
A long ass time.
It's been a long time. It's
Way too long. I've missed you.
I have missed you too.
A lot.
And I've missed this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have too.
Yeah.
I have too.
Sitting in the car, a recording studio.
How could you not miss that?
At least this time it's not pouring rain. Man, those last two snacks, that sound quality was terrible.
That bothers you much more than it bothers me.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's
okay.
so distracting to me.
Oh, I was like, oh, look at that. It's raining. But I was expecting kind of that it was going to be the same today because it's calling for some hefty showers today. So I wasn't sure if we were going to have a trio.
Quick.
Yeah. So today's episode is just kind of a checking in.
Welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah.
Start of season 7.
Yes. Season 7. Well, right. Because we paused.
Yep.
We had, some of us lost organs during that pause, namely me.
Yeah.
And just jumping back into life and into Riding Side Saddle, figured we would just give a little bit of an update.
Yeah.
I guess on how that.
How are you doing?
goes.
You made it through your surgery.
I'm here, girl.
Yep.
I'm here.
By the skin of your teeth.
Yeah. When I was listening to the snacks and I was listening to some of the pieces from season 6, I recognized my walls had gone up while I was physically and emotionally and mentally preparing for the surgery, and I could hear it in the episodes. I could, because I was very kind of disconnected a little bit. I was businesslike about it. Like I would touch it, but I didn't really talk. Like, yes, it's happening. This is the plan. This is how we're gonna get through this from a Riding Side Saddle perspective. And we'll see you in a few weeks. And then I realized that that's how I managed it from a work perspective too, right? Like my boss and we had a plan. Everything was very logistical. I made sure that I was very meticulous about how I, set people up who were going to, work on my work while I was gone. And, it flowed very nicely. But I was not giving the space, or communicating, I guess, the emotional side of that. It's just been a little bit logistical. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, I've never had surgery, so I don't know, but I can imagine that when you are going to be incapacitated for a period of time, that you have to set things up so that while you're down, things can continue to happen. And right.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I spent a lot of my energy or when I was listening back to the episodes, that was the frame of mind that I was in when I was talking. But there was a lot more that was going on pre-surgery with me, just managing it emotionally, than what I said up front.
Gotcha.
And I guess I want to spend a little bit of time.
That's interesting.
I want to spend a little bit of time with that, and I'm going to cry because it's coming already. But it's important, right?
It is.
We talk about like the things you don't talk about.
This would be one of them, wouldn't it?
This is
I've not heard anybody, and again, I've never had surgery myself. It's not like I go around polling people who have had surgeries.
Right.
Tell me how you felt about it before you had surgery. But no one who I know who specifically has had a hysterectomy has ever mentioned to me the loss that they feel.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Which made me even think about it a little more. a little more deeply, on the surface, it's surgery.
Right.
And there's a whole bucket of things that just go into that,
Right.
that word surgery, right?
Right.
But then when you think about what is being removed, that's a
Right.
whole different set of things. And I thought, because I noticed that you were a little bit different in our last couple of recordings, the snacks.
Yeah.
But I thought it was not so much business-like as you had reconciled some things.
Yeah.
So you were moving forward in a more like confident way.
Yeah.
But that's not what was happening.
It was, in a way. You're not wrong. Like, you know me better than most people know me. So you're not wrong. But I didn't, like, we had our holistic conversations, right? Because I share so much more with you
Sure.
than what I actually share
planning
on
session.
on the episodes. But I guess I wanted to state on an episode that it isn't all this just logistics. It
Yeah.
isn't all preparing for the surgery, having the surgery, healing from the surgery. There's a lot of emotion, at least from my perspective, right? And I know that I'm a little sensitive about things, and especially in the last couple of years since writing Side Saddle, like, I'm very passionate about women-based things, and I don't know, uterus is the core of that.
Yeah.
So, like,
It doesn't get more woman-like than that,
no,
does it?
no, it doesn't. So going through the process emotionally of, like, recognizing that the center of my feminine that I've been learning so much about, right? More than the last 50 years combined, is there's something wrong, and it has to go away, right? Like, there wasn't a choice of an alternative. Like, this had to happen. And I had a lot of emotion around that, that I didn't portray that information in the episodes or in the snacks, because I couldn't yet. I wasn't ready. I'm not sure I'm still ready, because I'm still processing, but regardless. So just as a high level, in January, I haphazardly came across a large fibroid that was attached to my uterus. It was a little unusual in that it wasn't giving me symptoms the way traditionally fibroids offer up symptoms, because it was actually growing out of the muscle on the outside of my uterus. So,
gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, me either.
I knew endometriosis could grow on the outside.
Yeah.
I did not know that a fibroid.
Yes. And me either. I didn't ever have any reason to research fibroids or know things at that level. But this one was quite large, categorized as large. Post-surgery, I found out that it had, while it grew itself, it also stretched my uterus. So, so it was impacting a number of different organs, my bladder specifically. When I talked about having incontinence issues, that has completely mitigated.
Really?
Maybe I also have a cold now. So a couple of times I've sneezed completely unexpectedly, and had a little bit of an issue, but nothing like it was before. Like, I can cough, I can laugh. I haven't tried jumping yet, but I'm feeling pretty confident with, that type of thing.
Do that. Wow.
Yeah. I would have, it has not happened very often that I have issues. So it was directly impacting my bladder.
And here we just chalk that, specifically that, up to just being older and you've had a couple of kids, and this is just the way it is.
Yes. And it's irritating to me that
just the way it is.
Just
deal with it.
It's just,
when really there was something wrong.
Yes. This is a symptoms you can just disregard, because this just happens to women. So suck it up.
You're fine. You're just old.
Yeah. So you pee yourself. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
So it was impacting that. It was impacting my intestines, just like digestion in general, and constipation, that type of thing. So again, I didn't necessarily realize that anything was wrong, right? Because gosh, constipation can be a variety of different things.
Oh, for sure. You ate too much cheese. That'll do it.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of a shock that, I was in this situation. To make that long story short, after the surgery, I found out that the fibroid itself, had stretched my uterus to be like 4 to 5 times larger than what it should be.
Jeez.
So it was big. Also, in preparation, so you have the pre-surgical appointment, and doctor, wonderful doctor, set expectations up front. It was like a month before the surgery, to say, so because of the fact that this fibroid is as large as it is, we're going to approach it in the best case scenario, do the surgery laparoscopically, but she was very clear. Like, there's no mincing terms with her. Mm-hmm. She's not soft and fluffy. She's like, listen, this is the way it is. And I need to tell you straight so that you understand it. And I appreciate that. I adored that. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to be meddling inside of my body. I'd like the short straight answer here. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she said, because of its size and because, of the environment, she's going to try to do it laparoscopically, which, is the best case scenario,
and least invasive.
Exactly. Right? Mm-hmm. Because it's least invasive, healing works out better, all of those things. It's more specific because it's robotic, and that just encourages a lot better results.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try it that way. Because it is as large as it is, we may have to shift, right? We may have to shift strategy through the process. It's stretching the capabilities of laparoscopic.
Ooh.
So
that was scary.
It was really scary, and I had a month to think about that, right?
So it might be a couple of small incisions, or it might be a full abdominal.
And a couple of small incisions.
Right,
because
on
you're
top
going,
of that.
Yeah, you're going in one way, which is 5 incisions. And they're probably about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long. Mm-hmm. They're not large incisions. But there are 5 of them, and it goes like a bit of a rainbow, like underneath my rib cage. So it just kind of follows that rib cage thing. And there's 5.
That's so high up. I didn't think it would be that.
Me either.
Wow.
Me either. I didn't imagine that either. So thankfully I didn't. The surgery ended up being very smooth. And I didn't have to have the abdominal incision. It was just the laparoscopic ones, which I'm so entirely grateful for. And I am also entirely grateful that she shared with me, this could happen. This is a possible outcome. We're not looking for this to happen, but it can happen. Because if I woke up and had more incisions than what I anticipated,
and no one warned you that could be a possibility.
Yeah. Like,
good grief. That would be horrible.
Yes.
So that's, I'm
skipping around here. Mentally, I'm like all jumbled up, but that was sitting in my mind for a month as like a pre-surgical thing, right? Like, I don't know what's going to happen out of this, right? A variety of things could happen. This is complex. She,
I've jokingly said if I ever needed to have surgery, I might want a mommy makeover while I'm under, right? I'm terrified to go under anyway.
Yeah.
Because I've never done it.
Yeah.
But while I'm in there, maybe you could just tighten a couple of things up. So in that situation, it would have been hard for me not to be like, so if you're doing a full abdominal incision, how about if you just stretch it and pull it tight? Yeah. Just tighten it up a little, like guitar strings. Yeah. Just tighten it up. Yeah.
I have the vision of roller blinds.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yep, just pull it up. Yeah. Yes. That.
Except they get stuck and they don't go all the way up.
All right. True. And I have no idea how they do tummy tucks.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're going to cut it all open, then just do it. Help a girl out here. Need to do a little lipo? Where do I sign off?
Right. How much extra is that?
Right.
I don't need the value version. I would like the premium version of this, please.
Right. If I'm going to be under, I want to get my money's worth. God dang it. I'm going to be laid up anyway.
Oh. Oh, that's funny. No, I didn't get the premium
any of
version.
that. No.
And it probably would have
So you
cost
got the
me
rainbow.
extra for the extra incisions
Oh, I'm
too.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's true. But if you're going to be in there anyway, that's all I'm saying. I prefer this. But if it turns into that,
Yeah.
let's just go all in.
Yeah. That's funny. So no, I didn't get the extra set of
No.
incisions, which I'm really grateful for.
For sure.
But I did, because I've shared with you for a while before the surgery, I was having some pretty substantial grief components.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was nervous. I was nervous for the surgery. It's a surgery. Anybody's going to be nervous for the surgery. But I wasn't petrified of the surgery. I've been through surgery before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through surgery in scarier situations where I didn't have 3 months to think about it beforehand. And it was, it was spontaneous feeling. So it wasn't that I didn't necessarily know what to expect, but I was having grief related to losing my uterus.
Specifically that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Worry about surgery generally.
Right.
But grief about losing your uterus.
And I'm realizing literally this morning, I had a conversation with Scott around my uterus, and I'm still having grief about it. It's really sad to me. My daughters didn't really understand it, and I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing. I'm not sure. I don't know if anybody else would understand it. So 2 days before my surgery, I went over by Deidre's house because for 6 weeks I'm not able to lift babies, and I needed some love, right, from babies to get me through.
Yeah, right.
So Liz was there, Deidre and the kids were there, and Deidre had a bottle of wine. And she's like, well, let's do a toast and, to a good surgery and blah, blah, blah. And we were having a quick conversation about the surgery. And I started to cry. And she's like, well, why are you crying? I'm like, because I'm losing the part that made my kids.
Oh, gosh.
This was... I didn't really necessarily realize how important it was to me, right? Because it gives me fucking grief every fucking month.
Right.
And nobody likes the bloody shit, right?
Right.
But this was the home for my children, to create them, to build them, right? It was that place of most utter nurturing and safety and met all of their needs, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal to me. So
you were grieving that, even though you were not planning any more children, you were still grieving losing that first home.
Yeah.
Their first home.
Yes. Even though for 30 fucking years this thing has been a pain in my ass. It has given me the greatest parts of my life.
Yeah. Wow, I never really thought about it like that.
I didn't either.
But I can see it
until
now.
it was this is gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been hard.
Wow.
I also had
that's so deep.
Unfounded fears around I don't know. I know that this is ridiculous, but will I feel the same afterwards, right? From a feminine perspective.
Right. Will I feel less of a woman?
Yeah, kind of. And I don't. And I know many women who's had hysterectomies, and they would probably look at me like, Lisa, Like, come on. Like, you know me, and, this is who I am post hysterectomy. So, like, calm down about that.
It's not removing your personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, so I knew that those were unfounded, but I still had some, weird feelings about that. So there was a huge emotional component for me related to that, that I didn't give enough energy to.
You didn't make enough space to process that.
I made enough space to process it personally. I wanted to be able to communicate about it on Riding Side Saddle because it's important. It was very private and personal to me, and I couldn't really necessarily put words to it at that time. And I'm still probably not doing a very good job of it, but it's really important. It isn't it isn't just a process. I'm going to surgery, I'm having my uterus removed, I'm going to heal for this amount of time, and I'm going to be back, good as new after this is all done.
Even better, because I don't have a period anymore.
Yeah, right. Like there's an unspoken part for me. And I don't know if everyone is like this. I have no idea. But this is my experience.
Yeah.
That is as important, and if not more important, than all of that other stuff. So I wanted to make the space for it to be able to communicate it. I'm still processing it.
I appreciate that, because
you wouldn't, right? Like, who would?
No, right. That's big.
It has been big. I literally this morning, I didn't even realize that I had said it until probably like 3 or 4 minutes later. I was having a conversation with Scott about lifting things. And I said, in a half joking sort of way, I said, my uterus is sensitive. And I said it like twice because we were teasing and giggling. I said, my uterus is sensitive.
Right.
And I got in my car to leave, and I just started bawling because I realized I don't have a one.
Uterus. You're sensitive.
Yes, I'm very sensitive. Uterus or not.
Right.
I'm a bag of fucking emotions. So I guess I still am processing that.
You are.
It has been a lot.
Yeah. So when,
Yeeks.
when people are like, expecting post-surgery to be quick and easy and everything's fine, get back to work.
Yeah.
It's not just your physical self that is doing the healing, though. And again, I don't know if everybody's like this or not, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about your
this
story.
This is my situation.
So that's what we're going to use.
Right.
Right.
Well, there's so many things, I guess, to that. Everybody does have different experiences, right? And it depends, right? Everybody's uterus is different. Everybody's, situation, like, the fibroid is different because it was on the outside. Maybe that's different. Like, I don't know about other people's, but I do know that the surgery went very well. She, in fact, was expecting it to take longer than a traditional hysterectomy. She actually came out ahead of schedule.
Yeah, when Scott sent me a message and said, you're out and things went great, I was like, wait, already?
Yeah.
I was not expecting to hear from him for at least 2 more hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was good. It went very well. But I think, to your point, people are like, okay, well, that's done. Now let's get to the healing, and every's gonna
get back to normal.
Be fine.
Chop.
Right. And I too, there was a part of me too who felt like that. My pain levels were very tolerable. I was very specific about following her expectations about, pain meds and her orders because, again, she does not mince terms. Like, she does not soften shit up. And she was like, listen, there is, I want you on pain meds full time for this period of time. There is absolutely no lifting upwards of 15 pounds. There is nothing that's to go in your vagina for 6 weeks. And that's very clear. Like, that's
Nothing
crystal clear.
is nothing. Yeah.
Well, apparently, to me, it was crystal clear, but she had examples of situations where people did not listen.
Oh, boy.
And she added that just to make sure that I understood. And she's like, I don't care. It makes me laugh because it sounds so ridiculous, but she was saying it with the most direct look in her eyes. She said, I do not care how nice he is. I do not care whose anniversary or birthday it is. I do not care, like, about any of those things. Nothing in your vagina for 6 weeks.
Means 6 weeks.
I do not want to see you in the emergency room with your intestines coming out your vagina.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
That.
Ooh, that made my stomach hurt.
Okay.
Oh.
So that, like, real crystal clear.
Nothing.
Thank you.
6 weeks.
Right.
Got it.
Right. Closed for the season. To any and all things.
Got it.
Closed.
I might make it 12 weeks just to be safe.
I honestly am very scared, honestly. Like, I said to Scott, I'm like, so this isn't, we're not going to just like try this out at 6 weeks. Like,
just so you know.
You're going to have to just wait until I decide that this is.
Until I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Because, geez, like, it even scared the shit out of Liz. like, not that she was concerned I was going to have sex, but that girl,
well, she might be concerned about that too.
No, she thinks that there's been a gone fishing sign on that phase of my life for a long time already.
That's how she chooses not to think about it.
She's like, Mom, the shop's closed, right? Like, so what do you mean by the shop's closed?
How do you define shop?
I mean, nothing's coming out of it. From that regard, the shop is closed. Right. But, there's hobbies. Either way, we don't talk about that part.
That is hilarious.
But I will tell you, that girl is Johnny on the spot for anything that looks to be above a pound. Like, she is.
That warms my heart.
Yeah.
She's taking good care of her mama.
Well, she is taking good care of me, but she's like, I don't want your intestines coming out your vagina. Done.
Got it.
Thank you.
I'm glad you shared that story.
I don't want that either. So that was just a little aside. Like, she had made it entirely clear that even though the incisions are small, even though the incisions are small and I might be feeling good, I have gone through a major surgery. Like, this
is a whole organ removed.
This is not just,
right,
an ingrown toenail,
right,
or even a broken arm for that matter.
Yeah.
Right. This is like major surgery.
It is.
Just
because it's not
visual.
Your uterus. Well, that, but also your uterus is not essential to your body living.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that once it's removed, it isn't a lot.
A major.
Right.
Major. Exactly.
Major.
Like,
exactly.
This
major
was
means major.
Part of my body that I have had my whole life. Like,
yeah.
Yes. So, so she's made that very clear too. So I've been, very much, taking precautions and
following
care of
doctor's
myself.
orders to the letter.
Right.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah. It's been a little challenging for me because she's right. Like, for the most part, you feel fairly good, right? And the incisions aren't like large, and it feels like, okay, well, I should be starting to be able to, like, at least build up back to normal.
Yeah.
Girl, I will tell you, I am fucking exhausted a lot of the time. But I think it's because my body's healing, right? There's a lot of work related to healing.
Your body is doing a lot. It's kind of like when a woman is pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. Why am I so tired? Oh, the hell if you're not doing anything. You're creating another whole life. In this case, it's The hell if you're not doing anything, your cells are
Healing,
literally
right.
knitting back together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That takes a lot of energy.
That's a really good analogy I didn't think of, because I do remember that completely exhausted feeling when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And that is how I feel.
Yeah.
Like,
I haven't done anything. Why am I so tired?
Yes.
You are doing something every second of the day.
And even mentally, like my brain probably stops and starts a lot to begin with, but my brain has been slow.
Yeah.
I can tell it's been slow. I don't remember things. I can't like manage complicated thoughts, like deep conversations. It literally exhausts me.
Do you think some of that could be as a result of inflammation? Like your body is, you know, when your body receives trauma, that causes inflammation. That's the response.
I do.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're for sure full of inflammation as a result of that.
Agree. I also think the anesthesia has some to do with that too.
Medication fog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
And that doesn't leave your system in 6 hours.
Well,
it's weeks and weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not a thing that, you know. So post-op, here's the things you should realize.
No.
Excuse me. It's not talked about at all, in fact. I've been having, I think, honestly, some issues because of the anesthesia, not specifically, but I learned that when you have anesthesia and you're on the surgery table, they kind of leave your head lay off the top of the table.
Oh, really?
So that your throat is straight.
Oh.
Because they have to put the tubes and stuff in.
Yeah.
Well, I have been having a lot of neck and shoulder and head pain.
From being overextended like that?
I think so.
Oh.
I don't know for sure. I don't have marks or bruising or anything like that, but I can tell you
muscles are
they're very,
out.
very tight. And I'm still trying to manage that and try to get that to release. I also had weird experiences with relation to my legs. And I think energetically I'm having to release some things. So the only thing I can describe this as, and I don't know if other people have this experience or if it's just me, I do not like the dentist. And when I sit in a dentist chair, like they can be just talking to me. I can be looking at the hot air balloon picture on the fucking ceiling, birds singing, music playing, and every part, I just spit. Did you see that?
No.
And every part of my muscles are like completely contracted. Like I realize nobody's touching me. I'm not in any pain, but all of my muscles are tight. And I have to allow them to release. Do you have that experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I generally hold I clasp my fingers together and I'm white knuckling.
Yes.
Through the entire cleaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my thighs do that. Like my quad, my thighs. And I realized after the surgery for, I don't know, like 2 weeks, my legs were clenched up like that. Like I was preparing.
I have that all the time.
And I'm like, let loose.
Yes,
let
just
loose.
let it go.
Let
You're
loose.
okay. You're safe.
What I realized in my own mind, and people could probably disagree with me, but for my own body, like I know that I don't remember what happened because of the anesthesia, but I think my body does. Do you know what I mean?
I do know
like
what you
my
mean.
muscles and my cells in my body.
Your subconscious.
Yes. Like, okay, so I was not conscious, but all of the parts of me were there and they were experiencing it. My brain was the only thing I think that
The recording mechanism had stopped.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that because my legs are clenched. Like they're bearing down to say, hold on.
Right.
Hold tight. You can get through this.
Oof.
That makes me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting. And, you know, some people might say I'm full of shit and that's okay. But
well, everyone's experience is different. This is your experience.
I'm very sensitive.
You are very sensitive.
I might be a smart ass, but I'm super sensitive.
It's also, I think it's interesting that we've talked before about how things are connected,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Just because you can't see something doesn't mean that something's not happening.
Yeah.
Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean something didn't happen.
Yes.
Your body is absolutely, it recognized that something happened.
It was present,
and it was
through it.
Traumatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe not
entirely agree
everybody's
with that.
subconscious is right there
And
where
that's
yours
okay.
is. Right.
Right.
But this is your experience.
Yes.
And I suspect you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not the only sensitive person
No.
to have experienced a trauma like that. And,
Right.
It might be that you are just you're in tune with and recognizing and observing all of these different symptoms in your
Right.
body
Right.
that came as a result of that surgery.
Agree. In comparison, I wasn't always this sensitive to that. When, I've made mention before, I had health issues in my early 30s for a number of years that resulted in 2 surgeries, 2 craniotomies that I wasn't expecting. And, in I guess if comparison, there isn't a comparison, but I didn't think about any of the other, like how the rest of my body was going to accommodate for that. It was more like, okay, let's get this healed. I have to get this healed and move forward.
Right.
As opposed to settling in and saying, oh, well, that's interesting. It doesn't seem like it's connected, but it certainly is, right? Not at first glance, but it definitely is. I wouldn't have known that in my 30s.
No.
The way I am recognizing it now.
Sure. I mean, you were in a whole different place then, not just in maturity and in your own, spiritual journey and things like that. But the environment that you were in was different than where you're at now.
It was a shit show.
Yeah, right.
It was
So
really a shit
there was
show.
a lot of distraction
Yes.
then that you don't have now,
Yes.
is really what I'm getting at.
That's true.
So you have the environment set where you can be more still and in your body and feeling and observing and recognizing things that other people may not have that experience.
Agree.
Your own self didn't
Yes.
have that experience before.
Agree.
All of that may have happened, the muscle tightness
Yep.
and
I just didn't.
you
it didn't register.
recognize- Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So I just want to make sure I'm not going over. I think we're okay. So there's one last thing that I wanted to talk about, and you started laying the path work for me, and then I went off kilter because
Yeah,
my
I
brain,
thought maybe you
my
didn't
brain
want to
isn't-
talk about it. Okay.
No, I do, but my brain isn't working
Okay,
exactly
all
that.
right.
So
I was trying to guide the conversation.
I wasn't
but
picking up what you were putting down, Tam. But let me go
That's all
back.
right.
Let me go
Okay.
back and do
All
that.
right. Okay.
There is still, I'm going to start crying again, just to preface this, because I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I have had multiple people, specifically women, say directly or indirectly to me, post-surgery, well, when do you go back to work? How are you feeling? When are you going back to work?
Are you back to work?
Yeah. And the requirement, the healing requirement, as it relates to the recommendation and the requirement from the doctor, this isn't a recommendation.
These are her orders.
Yes.
Doctor's
Thank you.
orders.
4 to 6 weeks. Okay. Because it's laparoscopic, they say healing, goes easier and smoother and all of those things. And I'm blessed that I had that. But it is a 4 to 6 week
Recovery period.
Yeah. Per doctor's orders.
Right.
Now,
and she was very specific on what you can do
crystal
and how much you can do
clear.
and when. Right.
None.
For 6 weeks.
Don't do.
I don't care
none.
how cute he is.
Right. Whose birthday? I don't care whose anniversary. How
Right.
nice he is.
No,
nothing. Crystal clear.
Got it. Got it.
Check.
Loud and clear.
Right. That also has to do though with healing,
Yeah.
not just sex, right? But healing, like this is not a fucking joke.
Right.
I am not I'm not imagining that I'm Superwoman and I'm going to be back at work in 3 weeks. It has been 3.5 weeks at this point.
Wow.
Okay. I'm still fucking exhausted.
And you're still walking carefully and moving gingerly.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I am. And I'm not like, I'm not a baby.
Right.
I am sensitive. Yes, I am sensitive. I was off of pain meds in 3 days.
Right.
Like I'm not a
your
physical
pain tolerance isn't super sensitive.
Yeah. So it infuriates me that someone or anyone, because it's been multiple presentations, especially from women, choose to say, well, I was back at work in this amount of time. I'm surprised she's not working yet. I'm surprised this. What the fuck? Like, I respect my body more to at least follow doctor's orders.
Right.
Right? To at least meet the minimum expectations directed by the doctor.
Yes.
Than to pretend that I'm in...
Everything's great. Back to normal.
Yeah.
As you were. Back to your regularly scheduled program.
Welcome to being a woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like, that's bullshit. And that is fully happening, not only by, like, the hierarchy of, work and all of that stuff, but people, like women who have experienced this. It is so, I can't think of the word, just invalidating.
Oh.
It is like...
So that happened. Moving on.
Yes. It's kind of like, okay, so the analogy of, being pregnant and being exhausted and all of those things, it's kind of like after you give birth, right? There are people often who are like, well, I was back to doing this by this and this and this. And, I was doing this and I was doing that. And it doesn't make you fucking Superwoman. It makes you dumb because your body needs a certain amount of time to be able to heal appropriately. Mm-hmm. Like, so don't make this like I'm better than you type of scenario. And I shouldn't say dumb because I know that all situations are not equal, and there are going to be situations where, you have two bad choices. Right? You're left with two choices and neither of them are good. So maybe you do have to do all of these things yourself. I'm not discounting that. And that was a poor choice of words.
Though, right?
But
why aren't you back? Because I was.
But it is putting your Superwoman cloak on and saying, I'm better than you because.
Yep.
Like, that's shit.
Right.
That is complete and utter shit. And
everybody's body heals differently.
Yes.
At different rates.
Yes.
I don't, again, with the comparison thing.
And I'm just over halfway.
Right.
Like, this isn't like I'm, 9 weeks in and saying, oh, I still can't do this and I still can't do that. I'm not even to that point.
Right.
By far yet. So fucking like, don't make me feel guilty. Like, that's ridiculous. I'm angry about that.
For sure.
That, like, you go through a major surgery and you still cannot rest
without somebody looking at you
judging
sideways.
You on it.
Right.
Why are you
resting?
I did this and I did that. Fuck off.
Right.
Guess what? I'm going to have this body for the rest of my life. And I'd like
hope
for it to work well.
Long life. Like, not another 3 years.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to be struggling with issues from this because I pushed it too hard for the rest of my life.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Because somebody else said that, they were Superwoman. Well, I guess I'm not Superwoman, but I'm taking some extra care.
Good for you for taking care of yourself the way you need to. Somebody who had a hysterectomy at 32, where their body is still functioning more efficiently than somebody at 50.
Perhaps.
Right? So you can't
say,
no
comparison.
When I had my hysterectomy, I was back at it at 2 weeks and no big deal.
Right.
That's great. Your body healed at a faster rate.
Right.
There's no prize to be won for getting to healed fastest.
There is
like
no
none.
Prize.
No.
That's it. That is exactly the meme that I have in my phone waiting for this thing.
Oh, really?
I got it.
That's funny.
There is no
I didn't
prize
know that.
for a lot of these things.
There isn't.
And that's one of them. To say I had the least amount of rest. What prize do you get for that?
None.
You get to continue to be exhausted. Congratulations.
Right. Right.
I don't want that prize.
No. Or perhaps you're not exhausted, and again, your body just healed more quickly. Maybe your body works more efficiently than mine does. Maybe you were younger. Maybe you are younger. I don't know. There's a million different things. There's a million reasons why people do things at different rates. That would be like comparing my baby walked before yours did, so mine is better than yours.
Right.
Like, that's not even a thing.
Right.
That's why it's 4 to 6 weeks. It's not this, 4 weeks to the day.
She didn't even make my follow-up appointment to like release me until the 6 week mark.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe there's a like insurance expectation that gives you a range. I don't know. Like, she didn't ask me, would you like your post-op, to be at 4 weeks or 6 weeks
for you? She's like, no, this is what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she's your doctor.
Yes.
And she's taking care of you.
That.
In the way she knows how.
That. Right. Not some random person who like wants to make sure that they've toot their own horn.
That's it. That's an ego-based comment.
Like, thank you. I appreciate that. Did that make you feel good?
Because it didn't make me feel good.
No.
So if that's what you were trying to do, well done.
Right.
Mission accomplished.
Yes. Check.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'll get off of that soapbox, but Jesus, let people.
We could just be nice to each other.
Let people fucking rest.
It's not that hard. Right. Right.
Give grace. Right. So, so in our snacks, I had to pause because I wasn't giving myself grace.
Yes.
And you stepped in and said, I love you more than that.
Right.
So that shit's already hard for me.
It is. And then you have somebody who's shaming you.
Yes.
Or you perceive it that way anyway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
for giving yourself the time you need.
Back off.
Right. Right.
Right.
You.
Whew. Girl.
Well, I am going to say again that you are working very hard right now.
Thanks.
Your body is working very hard. Even if your physical self is sitting and being still and resting and, taking naps when you need to or whatever, that you are working very hard even when you're reading a book.
Agree.
Your body is doing so much to get you back to a place where you can be fully functional. It's working really hard.
Yes.
And so rather than shaming all of your little cells who are working
really
their damnedest.
hard. I know.
Right. Congratulate them and thank them for doing a really hard job and doing a great job doing that hard job.
Thanks. I will.
There you go.
My family has also been like unbelievably supportive. My husband, who like if he would, my husband has been doing like basically everything, like
because you can
every single thing, and he's not even grouchy about it, right? Like, listen, if 3.5 weeks go by and I am doing everything, I might not say anything, but you're probably going to see a glance or frustration or extra tired or all of those things. But he has been like unbelievable. In fact, I've been gone out of the house for 5 days.
North.
Completely by myself, taking care of only me, playing puzzles and listening to books and sitting out by the water and really just respecting me.
Yes.
And he's been taking care of all of it. And I'm
so
very
he managed
appreciative
the home
of that.
front while you were up north,
100%
taking care of you.
Yes. And I just absolutely love him for that, because I know that
that's a good partner.
That is. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen for everyone.
No.
And I appreciate that dearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to it continuing for another 2.5 weeks.
At least.
Right. I am very sensitive.
Right.
But no, like, sincerely. Like
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big shift, and he is like Johnny
Right.
on the spot about
Right.
it. So
Because in your house, you're the hub of your family.
yeah,
So you do all the things or ask for things to be done, but they're all really on your plate for in large part.
and we
So-
have a lot of balance of chores a lot in our house too.
Sure.
So
And I'm
yeah.
not saying nobody else does anything. I'm not saying that. But you're the center of that.
oftentimes
Right.
for many things,
Right.
yes.
So for anyone else to step in and take that like anchor off of you,
Yes.
right? That's a big shift for both of you. For you to let it go,
It is.
and for
It's
someone else
hard.
to pick it up.
Yeah,
That's a big shift
it
all
is.
by itself.
It is.
So it's transition for everybody, not just for the patient.
Agree.
Right? Yeah.
Agree.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm doing well,
Yeah.
even though I'm super sensitive.
You can be super sensitive. That's who
Um,
you are, and I love you for that.
Thanks. I've missed you like
I
ridiculously.
know. It's been a long time.
It has been far,
Dang.
far too long.
I know.
So I'm happy to get back in the writing side saddle,
Yeah.
and start up on season 7.
Yeah.
And
You already started on chapter 7 of the Wild Women book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. We'll be reading, I don't know how many chapters yet. We haven't quite nailed that down.
I think chapter 7 is a relatively short one because it was
Okay.
like an hour and 23 minutes to listen to it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
Okay. So we'll for sure be reading chapter 7
Yep.
at the end of season 7.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get chapter 8 in there too. I don't know. We'll have
Perhaps.
to see. But
yeah.
but you've already started in on that
Well,
one.
you know, I'm listening to lots of things.
Yeah. You have time.
I do.
Yeah, you have
I do,
time on
which
your
I will
hands.
absolutely take.
Absolutely.
So
So, all right.
that's that. That's my story.
Wraps up episode 1 of season 7 then.
Mhm.
All right. I'm glad that you're back
Thanks.
in
Me
the
too.
saddle
Me too.
and that you are taking the time you need
Thanks.
and making space for yourself. I know that's not easy.
It's not, and I really
So good for
appreciate
you.
you giving me the reminders because that's been a big deal.
Good.
And I've re-listened to those snacks a few times.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I love you.
I love you too.
All right, friends.
Till next time then. So we'll wrap this up by saying thank you to Todd at Mind Garden Media for being our editor-in-chief, and he does all of the magical stuff in the background. We just sit and talk and then send
He
him a
does the
file
work.
and he does the actual work.
All of the work.
Yeah. So
And this
thank
time
you.
it's even going to be really short in nature, his turnaround time. So
Yeah, it
we
is. I know.
sincerely appreciate that. We try not to do that, but
Right. But once in a while scheduling just works
It
out where
worked
we
out
can't
that
get
way.
it done earlier. So
yeah. So thank you.
Thanks,
Extra.
Todd. Yep, extra thank you. If you're thinking about doing a podcast or just want to kick around some ideas, contact Mind Garden Media. They're on Facebook. You can reach out to them, search for Mind Garden Media. You'll find them that way.
Absolutely.
Send them a message. And they're fabulous. They will help you and guide you all along the way. We also need to say thank you to our listeners.
Every time, and we mean it.
We do
every
mean
time.
it, for sure.
Appreciate you listening in and following along with us, especially through the snack portions of the season when we had a little bit of extra downtime. I appreciate your patience and your willingness to
Absolutely.
just continue to ride along with us.
Right. I've had several people stop me in my real life again to tell me how much they're enjoying riding side saddle. I can't tell you how much that means to me when people do that.
Me too.
Right.
It's a big
Every
deal.
time when they say, "Oh, I've been listening," you have
Yeah.
really.
It
It shouldn't shock me, but
No.
it still does.
it restokes
It
the
does.
fire that keeps me
Yes.
wanting to do this.
Yes. Someone said, I think it was my friend Christy. Hi, Christy. She said, I really love that you guys are talking about this stuff.
Mm. Yep,
Yeah.
there it is. Stoked
There
up
it is.
again.
Right.
Thanks, Christy.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting and sharing
Yeah.
and reaching out to us.
And sharing it with your friends
Absolutely. If you think there's someone who might enjoy this, please do share it. Otherwise, subscribe, follow, like, share, smash all the buttons, do all the things. You can find us all over the place. YouTube,
Everywhere.
Spotify, Facebook.
Just type it in. You'll find it.
Find us.
All right.
So till next time then.
Toodaloo.
Bye. Hey, that's my line.
I know. Just
Toodaloo. That's my